Did you see anywhere in research where that was a contributing factor?
Me personally, I did everything was more personal or like this was the reason. It wasn't more like money. Like everything was because I don't even want to be here.
Okay.
I'm not getting playtime. Personal, I'm gonna go back home. Like I don't fit in. It wasn't really about the money. It was more about playtime and just fitting in and having a team like a family.
Okay. So because one of the things so I talk about the transfer portal a lot on my show, and I talked with Coach Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson was a Grambling. He was the head coach at Grambling. He was also an NFL coach, right? And then I also have conversations with a D1 coach back home in Pittsburgh. And one of the things that Hugh said was, as a coach nowadays, even in the transfer portal, you have to differentiate who is in love with the game or who is just in love with trying to get a different opportunity that leads to financial. And I think that's one of the things that I think some coaches, not all, but some coaches who are really trying to evaluate the talent that is in the portal, because he said he looked at, why are you in the portal? What was your grades or what was your talent like before you hit the portal? And he weighs a lot of contributing factors to that. But then also your thoughts, and for young ladies who are, in high school right now, their grades is they're 3.0 and up, they're doing all they can on the basketball court. What are your thoughts about the fact that transfer portal transfers takes away from scholarships that are given to high school students? So it makes it harder for a high school student unless you're literally like, you have to be in that top 10, right? You have to be the one that's getting offers from every major school. If not, those opportunities are slimmer now because of the transfer portal. It shrinks the amount of scholarships that is going out to high school students because coaches are really looking for players that are game ready. So what are your thoughts in regards to how the imbalance in that?
I definitely think it does limit the amount of high schoolers that have those same type of opportunities. So I never thought about that. But yeah, I think that definitely.
I didn't think about it until we was having a conversation, and he said that another college coach, I won't say his name, he had a player that he recruited, and he was a freshman last year. And that freshman actually made all conference. And what happened was another institution poached him and said, hey, not only will we give you the money that you need for your education, here comes the NIL situation, right? So now you have actually an opportunity to make money off your name, image, and likeness. That's why I asked within your research, was that something that you've seen, or did it come up anywhere within your research of doing so?
I think, no, I can't like that. I'm not saying names. One of my point guards, she transferred from Stanford. So I want to say, I don't know what I'm talking about. I want to say like LSU, something like that. So like, she was the benefit of that, of what you're saying.
Okay.
I only know it from the beneficial part.
Right.
Not the other.
So I think you kind of already answered this for me. And you said that, I want to say, did you say small forward was the most successful?
He said small forward.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And I was just saying, I just put on top there, like, I get the background that I can understand.
So what would be the most, in your research, Clifton, what was the most successful, or out of your 5, were they more successful, or at least in that?
So everybody, so I had shooting guards.
Okay.
So point guards. So the point guards, like I said, they transferred D1, they were all successful. To be honest, I think like overall, people were more successful.
Okay.
But point guards are like, in women's basketball, point guards and centers are like luxury players. Right? You can just look at the WNBA draft, first pick, point guard. I think injuries. Like seven pick, center, her teammate, second pick, center. So like that's why I was just throwing in with small forwards. It's just like
was powerful.
Yeah, so like point guard and women's basketball, point guard and centers are the luxury players. Like that's what they want in teams. So they get the most attention.
I guess because they can build around it, right? You need somebody that can command the court, but you also need somebody that can go and get the rebounds. So those are, I say, 2 important positions. And you said small was the least likely.
Yeah.
What was the most successful? I mean, so out of the 5, Were there more success than that?
Out of all the positions, definitely the center position was the most successful. I don't know. Can I say this one player's name?
No names.
Okay, there was this player from South Carolina. She recently
Okay.
just won a national championship.
Okay.
She transferred. Where she transferred from? She was the center. She transferred into South Carolina, and she really changed the whole scope of that whole team. Like she's great. She's a great rebounder, great defensive player. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about.
Right. I think I've already. Yeah. Right. I think I've said. And when we said we're just winning the draft, but we get your gist. Steve, what's your thoughts?
Well, the centers were definitely the most successful in my research too, and the two guards were not that successful.
Okay.
So I definitely agree with them on that. But yeah, just the point guards, the centers, the other positions may get overlooked because they don't get the ball as much or they don't get as much broadcasting. So
Nah, your thoughts?
I agree with everybody saying for the most part, because just from doing the results, just trying to figure out who were the most successful and then based off the weakest, I feel like everybody succeeded. It might not have been where they wanted to be, but they were given a chance to go to another school. So it was you're given no opportunity. Doesn't matter if you're successful or not. You're somewhere else. You're probably getting paid a little bit more. You're getting new team members, new family. So I think, to me, in my opinion, it was successful.
Okay.
I agree with everybody. Like it said, centers was definitely the most successful. I definitely say guards wasn't bad at not too bad as well. I know I tried to do HBC, the 5 players I did. I tried to make sure they were HBCU players
Okay.
to see if that would change a little bit, but they were still successful when they transferred from to a different school.
Okay.
If it was a PWI or HBCU.
that's the only thing I noticed that players were more not my players, but just in general, I was doing research that most players are more successful when they go to a school in a lower ranking. And instead of doing a parallel transfer, they do a high to low transfer, and then they get more opportunities to showcase their talent. So
And that's a good point, because in the previous group, they talk about how players were coming in and they were 5-star players, but when they transfer out, they went down to maybe 3 or 2-star, right? So to your point, sometimes even though we may have dominated on that high school level, wherever we was at, when you go to that next level, you may not have that same dominance, right? But that doesn't mean you're still not a dominant player. It just meant that level of competition or the program or the system, because systems matter, especially, in whatever sport you play, that if it's not a skill set or if it's not a strength, you now have to try to figure that out. And now you're trying to figure that out and not utilizing what really got you to that point. The only downgrade, I think, what I found out about the transfer portal was the fact that I didn't know that scholarship is the coach's decision whether or not to rescind your scholarship or allow you to finish out that semester. That is something I did not know. I thought that you automatically finished that semester.
Yeah.
No, that was not the case. The coach let you know that, season ended, you tell me today, oh, I'm hitting the transfer portal. Okay, well, today you no longer have a scholarship. Like that to me was wild. Because it's okay, so just imagine me going into the portal, I'm gambling on myself, right? But the disadvantage to something that you said when we talk about HBCUs, the disadvantage that, in my opinion, y'all know this is my opinion, I don't want nobody tracking like the Bowie TV, but in my opinion, because there is not enough media exposure, it's harder when it comes to HBCUs. You have to really be the one that you're talking about all the time in order for you to really matriculate up, because the media exposure is very low to none in regards to the HBCUs.
So one more thing on that, like what you just said, I don't have women's basketball, but just in general to the HBCU coverage. The NBA just now started the showcase where they only show one game
Right.
every
And it's always
year.
what's
And
considered.
so, yeah, that's not. I mean, it helps, but not everybody.
So I know we got to wrap up, but to your point, it's more so a facade, in my opinion. Just like the legacy role, but that's neither here nor there. Thank you guys for joining us. Group 2 Women's Basketball. Your boy Chris from Bowie TV, Pittsburgh Sports Talk Radio. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Put it up. And I be thinking that all the time. Like, my game.
Hey, bro, I said, like, sometimes I know them coaches, they get mad at me because sometimes. Group 3 has defensive players, right? Okay. All right, so before we start, don't say the names of any of the players that y'all did your research on. You know, so just say my position. Don't say any names. And then also when you talk, you can talk a little louder so that the audio can pick you up. Because it'll all be edited and put on my shit on Comcast and Verizon. What's going on, everybody? I'm Pitts from Bowie TV, Pitts and Foot Sports Talk Radio here at Bowie State University. With Group 3, we are going to discuss the transfer portal, 2020-24 NCAA transfer portal of defensive players. And before we start, like all the other groups, I'm going to go ahead and get your thoughts, just in general and in regards when it comes to the transfer portal in itself. And I'll start to my right. I'll start with Edward. You can go and just share your thoughts about the transfer portal.
I feel like the transfer portal is very effective for players trying to get more exposure. But I feel like it's a better fit for where they previously are. So I feel like it's a very good strategy for players to better themselves and put themselves in the best position.
Okay. Lee?
And I feel like the transfer portal kind of helped, especially when they changed back in, like, I think it was 2020 or 2021. When they had changed the rules to where, like, you transfer, you lose a year, or if you don't transfer,
Right.
You know, I'm happy they changed that. So you kind of see that in the paperwork and everything, how that affected them.
Okay. So you're saying that because I do remember at that one vote, it was kind of like a deterrent for players wanting to transfer, right? To say if you transfer, then we're going to take the year of eligibility away. Okay. But yes, you're right. Now that's no longer the case.
I feel like the transfer portal gives a little bit of freedom for both the players and the coaches. Like before, if a coach left for a new job, the players that he recruited were stuck there, or they might not get along with the new coach. Same with players. So sometimes you might not agree with the coaching staff, and instead of being before, like you said, the deterrent for transferring being the cancel on the team, you could find somewhere where you could fit in.
And that's funny. That's something we hadn't talked about in the previous ones is the flexibility that it does provide, right? Because a lot of cases, players were stuck in systems that they didn't fit. When you bring in a new coach, that means you're bringing in a new system, which may not be a system to your skill set. Jay?
Transfer portal, I think it's a huge benefit for athletes because being a transfer portal athlete myself, I went from a school that wasn't the best in football, but my play was better than where I was at, so I had to transfer and get to where I could showcase my abilities better. So I think it's a benefit to athletes.
Okay.
So I do think the transfer portal is a great addition to the collegiate level because like what Rasul said, it gives players more flexibility. If you're not happy where you need to be, you're not going to force yourself to stay there. So the ability the freedom to transfer wherever you want, I think is a great addition to collegiate athletics.
Before we get into the defensive positions, the 5 individuals or defensive positions that you all did, I want to get you all's thoughts on the effect that the transfer portal has on the high school students coming out, right? Because you know that the scholarships that a school may have, anytime a transfer student comes in, that's a scholarship, one less or however many scholarships no longer available for the high school students coming in. So what are your thoughts in regards to that?
Me personally, I think, the only effect it does have, the negative effect is just, not being able to have a fair chance as a high school athlete. Because, college athlete, I would take somebody with more experience over a high school athlete. But at the end of the day, football and sports in general, you have to work, you gotta earn your position. So just like earning a position, you gotta earn your scholarship. So you just gotta beat out the guy. So I don't think it's really a bad negative thing for high school athletes. You just gotta work harder
I think the ones who probably think it's negative is the athletes coming out
Yeah.
who looked at the opportunities as something that they thought they would have at their advantage. And something who said was also something that Coach Hugh Jackson and another college coach said was that when it comes to them in the transfer portal, they're looking for game ready, right? They're looking for those students who already are playing at the collegiate level, who already knows the game speed, and they don't have to coach up and get ready for it. So I think that was very interesting that you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a negative effect on high school students, like you said, because they're already looking for athletes who are already game ready. And coming out of high school, you know, they're still young. Not all athletes out of high school can just start at a Power 5 or start at a D1 school off the bat unless they're already unless they're already starting material. So, yeah.
So, I would say it gives a high school player a slight disadvantage, knowing that your coach or whatever can go and grab, like you said, a game ready guy. But that should push the high schoolers to work a little harder and not have that mindset of, oh, I gotta go Division I FBS right away. You could take that smaller school and still have the option to use that transfer portal like everyone else. So sometimes you gotta look at it like a development type thing where you take the smaller scholarship and offer to get to where you want to go.
What if it's a situation where it's not necessarily about his development and more so the exposure, right? Because when we talk exposure, right, one of the reasons why Bowie TV and Pits and Push got so much exposure with Bowie and Morgan is because there's a lack of exposure, right, when it comes to HBCUs. Just imagine if the exposure for HBCUs was the same as a PWI or as a Power 5, and then you talk about the transfer portal, you now are on a level playing field when it comes to it because coaches don't have to dig deep to try to find tape and of your play. They see you on national TV, right? So HBCUs are at a disadvantage because now they have to work harder just to show that they are, if not better, but equivalent to those Power 5 schools. Malik?
I think it more so benefits them, like have them get an extra developmental year. Like coaches want, they want game ready players, they're ready to win now. So it's like, why would I go get a high school player that has no college experience or anything like that? So, yeah.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. It's more so developing them, or like what he said, competition wise. You can outwork the person or just stay there for a couple years and get better.
Okay. Now, for your research for defensive players, did you do them all on one particular position on the defensive side? Okay, so good. So for your research with the 5 players that you did, what was the one position that you see may be a trend in the transfer portal more than others? Did you see a trend of such?
I would probably say DBs, like
Okay.
corners and safeties. Mainly because it's a lot of it's like different positions in the DB group, and it's like a bunch of players. It's more players basically. What I'm trying to say, from like
Right.
just a regular DN or either tackle. Like it's so many different types of corners you can go get, or different types of safety that can play. D-back or nickel.
Right.
Yeah.
System
So
defense.
like kind of like find a fit.
Right. As a defensive back, what are your thoughts in regards to?
So I that is true. That's where the trend is mostly at. Defensive backs being in the transfer portal. I just feel like it's a a competition thing. It's like he said, it's different types of DBs. You got your tall, rangy corner that just lengthy. Then you got your more quicker, smaller
Quick,
guys.
shorter guys.
But you just gotta find somewhere you can fit in at. So that's why I think DBs, the corners, safeties, and all the back end guys, they enter the portal more because they just have to find the right spot where they fit the system more. So that's why I think that trend is the highest.
Malik, for defensive lineman, right? Do you think it's easier for a defensive lineman to be plugged and play in any different system when it comes to the transfer portal? Whereas, I guess to what Udi was saying, you talk about defensive back, you talking about whether you're man or press or cover 2 or cover 3, high low, etc. So what are your thoughts in regards to the position scale in the transfer portal?
I think honestly, besides like probably the middle linebackers and yeah, definitely the D line probably has the easiest because they just like really base gap alignment or go here, go there. Other than that, the linebackers probably have the most hardest transition overall.
Okay. So
And I would say, yeah, the defensive line, outside of the DB, I would say the defensive line was up there as well with the most transfers. But like that's because he said it's just more of a plug and play to where if you were a 4-3 scheme or a 3-4 scheme, yeah, you might lose one spot, but you know, a passing down is you go in a nickel most times, that's a 4 down lineman set. So that's where people can plug and play and they get their names based off that.
okay. Yeah.
I think linebackers, because like a lot of linebackers like think they just gotta be strong and powerful and be able to come down and hit for the gap, but they also gotta be able to drop back in coverage and guard a receiver that's running a 4-3, and that's not easy. So that's why a lot of linebackers hit the portal. That's fine.
Okay. Do you think for a defensive player track that's hitting it or entering the transfer portal, is it more, and I'll start with you, Bowie, is it more team dynamics, performance, or personal?
I feel like I'd say it'll be more of a like half personal, half team dynamic.
Okay.
Cause you know, like I said, with the fit in the system that goes into play with the team dynamic. If you're more of a press corner like me myself, I'm more of a man on hands on corner. I won't be able to go play. Not saying I couldn't do it, but I won't be able to fit and like the system if I was to just be in a zone
Right.
90% of the time.
Right.
And then it goes into personal. It's like, you know, you might not like the way your defensive back coach, he coaches you. You might not like the technique and things like that. You want to better yourself. You want to get to that next level, which is the NFL. And you don't like the way he's teaching certain stuff, but so that goes into play personal for me. That's what I would think as personal. Take it as personal.
Jay.
I say it's both because a player is not going. Well, a player who wants to get to the league, of course, they're going to be a good teammate, but they also going to be more focused on themselves, better in themselves for the team. But like they want to get there. It might sound crazy, but to be great, you have to be selfish. Like if you want to make it to the next level, everybody not going to be at the same time as you. So I feel like it's 50-50.
Okay. So,
I would say it would probably lean more towards the personal side, and I say that because as a student assistant, I've been shadowing the defensive line coach, and sometimes the way you coach a player is what deters them from making that next step or not. So if you have a coach that's always hard on you, and you don't take that well, you might need some positive criticism, and your coach don't do that, y'all not going to gel. You're either going to backtrack or stay stagnant where you are. So sometimes the more personal level is where that gets you to the next spot.
I think yours can also kind of be gelled into team dynamics as well then, right? Because when we talk about the coaching up of a player, and we talk about, like Udi was saying, like, him going from a man defense to now going to a quarters or a zone defense, he may not, his skill set is impressed, right? Not to say he can't play the other ones, it's just that it's an adaptation period that has to go through. So in the example that you gave, that's a real thing. Some players are not do now get here. They need they need some positive affirmation as well, which is crazy because for me it was like when I think about the athletics now, right? And I was telling my son the other day, and I said I remember I was 13 and I did the dumbest thing, right? So I was the running back, I was a linebacker, and I was a kicker. We was whooping this team something. Okay, matter of fact, it's Push. It was Push's team. We was playing my co-host, Mike Owner, Fits and Push Sports Talk. We was playing his team. All they do is onside kick. There's one play, I decided to go against the grain. I kicked the ball. Totally different than what I was supposed to do. And when I tell you my coach cursed me out something sick, and I was looking for my mama for support, She's like, no, you deserve it. So it's different, right? It's a different way of coaching. Like some kids are good with it, not necessarily because they're used to it, but it does help motivate them. If you feel like you did some wrong, something like, I know I got to fix that. What about you when it comes to it?
I think it's more so of, like you said, the team dynamics. I think like a player has to be coachable in a way. So if they're not really feeling that coach or feeling this situation, they may have two seniors or a junior and a senior in front of them. They might feel it, so it's like it's more about the team.
Yeah, I agree.
I would say probably like personal, but sometimes the team dynamic is more so personal because like if you don't like the way your coach is coaching you, or like it's not even only about like the sports. Sometimes it could be about academic wise, or maybe you don't like the school, so maybe that's the reason. That could be a big reason why you want to go somewhere.
All right, so I know we want to wrap up with just yes or no across the board, and I'll start with you. Do you think that the defensive player or the defensive side of the ball presents more difficulties with trying to move or elevate within the transfer portal than the offensive side of the ball?
Do I think it's more difficult for them to transfer?
Or do you think it's more difficult for defensive players to successfully be able to hit the transfer portal and find a new destination than it is for an offensive player?
Yes, I see.
No. So,
I think it's a little bit.
Nah, I think offensive is harder.
Yeah, I think offense is way harder. Because, like, learning the offense, fitting in the system, you just can't come in. Every defense runs the same thing at the end of the day, But the offense, you gotta have a whole different playbook from where you used to be at, or,
The way they run routes,
all that. Out the quarterback, you gotta get used to the quarterback cadence. You gotta get used to your own line, how they block, how long it takes for them to stuff and things like that. So it's a lot, But the defense is cover 4, cover 2.
Right.
It's really only
plug and play.
Really, right. It's really everything is universal on defense.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys for joining me, man. Get on Pitts from Bowie TV, Pitts on Sports Talk Radio. We have just wrapped up our NCAA 2024 transfer portal defensive backside. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you.